Hi, I'm Naomi.
And I'm Shreya. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Repartee. During this podcast, Naomi and I discuss cultural trends, our opinions on them, and our personal experiences.
You know what's really upsetting about our generation? Is that we're obsessed with social media and our presence within it. Like, why give it so much value and power over us when really it means nothing? Because when you think about it, why are you posting this picture? Is it to make yourself feel better, or is it to make others feel worse about themselves to see how cool you look here? Because when I post a picture, I wouldn't be like, oh, this makes me feel really good about myself. It's only when the comments trickled in that I felt good about myself. When I saw comments that said that I looked pretty here, that made me feel good. But the fact that I would rely on that to make myself feel better is alarming and should be alarming to everyone else. The other scenario in which you would post a picture to make others feel jealous or bad about themselves is equally as bad. People should not post something with the intention of making someone feel bad about themselves or to show off.
When I did post, it would be very sporadic and I would take months to post another picture. And I think that stems from the fact that when I did post and see all those comments, it was only instant gratification. It was never a long term kind of satisfaction. And after the initial high of getting all those comments, it would die down and I would just end up feeling more insecure than I started. There's a certain kind of fascination to show people what you're up to, but I think there's a stark difference between posting because you want to post and posting for other people and to get those compliments.
Yeah, and while I do see the appeal of using social media and posting on it because you're essentially sharing a part of your life with everyone, I just don't think the motives behind posting and the effects of posting something are worth it. And I really believe that it shouldn't be as integrated into our society as it is right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. In fact, I don't really use Instagram or Snapchat at all, or at least as much as I used to. And I think the biggest factor that I think made me not use Instagram as much anymore were the comments. When I used to get nice comments on my post, I would get instant gratification that I was talking about previously. But I realized that it's literally just ingrained into our heads, and we see the same airy comments to just about all of our friends.
Yeah, same for me too. I would say like last year I would be on Snapchat for a good amount of time. And same thing with Instagram, but like especially this year, maybe it was COVID-19 or I don't know what it was or just like an epiphany, but these things so don't matter at all. On Instagram specifically, subconsciously I'll see like these really cool pictures or whatever and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Why don't I have that? Or compare myself without wanting to. It's just not a good place to be. And so I don't even use my personal account anymore. I go on it for school purposes, but for personal purposes, I don't need it at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's so funny because people have asked me why I don't post, and honestly, it's purely just because I don't care enough to post. And I definitely agree with you about the whole comparing myself thing because I think it's so easy to forget that what we see on Instagram is just what people want you to see. So, really, when I compare myself when sitting in bed watching Netflix to somebody at the beach, it's really just an unfair comparison.
Yeah, I've definitely grown and become more aware of what's important in life. I remember when I first got Instagram, I would think about it constantly and think to myself what's cool spot I could go to and pose. I would be like, oh, this could be a really cool spot for an Instagram post. And that's so stupid. Right now, realizing what's worth my time and what I put value in, I don't have any pictures on my profile. And looking back, I just think of how ridiculous it is to show people you posing. Like, who cares if you're here?
Yeah, also, in the grand scheme of things, in 20 years, you're not going to look back and be like, oh, I forgot to post that one picture.
Yeah, and it's not like anyone actually cares. I think that it's a great way to make yourself feel good for a good day or 2 hours, since when many people post, they go straight to the comment section expecting their friends to comment compliments. But those compliments are worthless. It's just a social norm. In the long run, it really has no benefits. You just realize how truly meaningless it is.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of a different kind of toxic with Snapchat because even though you don't have followers, it's mind numbing. In a way, it's also addicting because I remember when I had it and would snap people, it kind of just felt like an obligation to respond to them. And don't even get me started on the idea of streaks. Like that is just so stupid.
Yeah, like you said, it's completely mind numbing. What is the point of sending pictures of your face without even having a conversation? I just tend to not even open Snapchat anymore. But there are similarities to Instagram. Maybe it's like a personal problem with me, but I'm sure many other people experience this too. It's like seeing all the Snapchat stories has this negative effect on us, whether we like it or not. For example, people will post when they're together, like Do I care that you're together? No. Is it going to be helpful to me that I know that you're together? No. Like, it's really for the sole purpose of making other people jealous, which is such a terrible thing.
I know, and I think people have justified this by saying, oh no, I want to have the memories in my archives or whatever, but just have it in your camera roll. Like, there's absolutely no reason to post that picture.
I think Snapchat has evolved greatly because at the beginning, I remember it would be like, oh, look, what I'm having for lunch. I'm going to take a picture of my sandwich. But now it's become more casual and it's like, oh, look at us. We're having so much fun at this place with these people.
And I honestly thought that it was going to die down with the coronavirus, but it hasn't. I still see people not social distancing, they don't wear masks, but they do for the photo, just so they don't get bullied on Instagram.
That gets under my nerves so much. For me personally, I've never hung out with a friend without wearing a mask, and I barely even see my friends now. And I'm not trying to be this activist or role model because I'm not one, but to see people put up a facade for social media while doing the exact opposite is so annoying. I would have hoped that people would be more aware of their surroundings in the world.
I know. Honestly, I think the thing that gets me the most is when people advocate staying at home and do the exact opposite. That is just so much worse than just going out because it's so hypocritical. When the people who follow you on Instagram see you posting about staying at home and then see you outside with your friends, it just doesn't send the right message.
It's also the people who don't say anything about it. They just hang out and post about it. They think they're being really cool. They're like, oh my God, look, I'm with my friends. But in reality, it's like, how sad is it that you think it's so cool to hang out with people without being socially distanced and without following safety protocols? In my mind, you're making yourself look even worse. I think I have a pretty good tolerance for people. Well, that's debatable, but when I see that, it's really so disgusting. And just taking this back to social media is like inhabiting all of this and expanding it. And like you said before, social media is a terrible place, which is why we both are not really active on it. But I do think that Instagram has changed a little bit during the COVID-19 pandemic. Because I remember when I first got Instagram, it was really just solely a place where people would post pictures and comment on your friends' pics. But now I feel like it's mostly a place for people to advocate for certain causes and issues. I will go through Instagram stories whenever I'm on it, and it's just like picture after picture after picture after picture of the same thing.
Social media, I think, like all things, has its pros and cons. And for personal use, I don't agree with many of the motivations behind using social media. But I think when it comes to advocacy and like informing people, it's the best form of reaching so many different generations. And although I post on my story on Instagram, it's just for school purposes. Other than that, I don't agree with the personal motivations behind the app. Like, I know a lot of people like Instagram and what it stands for, and they like posting pictures and sharing their lives. For me, I'm generally a private person, and I don't really like to broadcast my life for myself or otherwise.
Yeah, when I think about advocacy, I always go back to the statement that says you don't have to be a victim to be an ally. And I think to a certain degree, I think it's good to bring awareness to things, but I also have this other side of me that thinks to myself, what is this even doing? I guess that's why I don't really post social issues going around on my account. I don't know, I guess I just don't have a formed opinion.
You know, I definitely do see why people post and the appeal of Instagram as a whole, but I think completely submerging yourself in social media and relying on that to prove your self worth will only really be detrimental to how you view yourself.
Yeah, so let's not let social media consume us. We need to focus on what's actually important in life. Follow the epitaph to stay up to date on when we post, and thanks for listening to our podcast. See you guys next time.